Hey, friends, welcome back to another episode of Dentistry Unmasked. My name is David Rice, and here, as always, with me,
Hey everybody, Pam Maragliano-Muniz. David, how are you today with that sexy voice?
you know, this is the one benefit of having a cold. Doing all right. How are you?
You're doing well. I feel like you're miserable, but I could listen to it all day. It's so melodic. Oh my gosh. So, let's talk about things going wrong,
Yeah,
because it's easy when you go to a lecture and people only show you their wins, and then you go back to your practice and you might be able to apply some things, but then there's times things go horribly wrong. And so I'm going to tell you a story. I don't even like telling it because I feel like if I manifest energy for the guy, he's going to call the office. That's like
okay.
why I don't want to tell the story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. All right. So you guys know the story. Guy with like the big brachycephalic face. You're like, oh, and you go to check his bite, and it's like checking a bite on an alligator, like, that kind of thing. Well, I did an implant rehab on him and I couldn't wait for him to go away. He kept breaking temps. It was like all of these things. I dialed in the occlusion. I did all the things. The guy took off and I hadn't seen him for like 2 years. He then calls back and he says that the prosthesis is broken. And I'm like, it's not possible. It can't be broken. It's zirconia. This is
Yeah,
before we know all the things that we know. And
sure.
so I'm only 2 years in with this full arch rehab, and I have a zirconia fixed rehab in two pieces, just snapped in the middle. And what do you do? I'll tell you what I did. I changed up the whole prosthesis and I replaced it for free. And so I would have been better
Yeah.
writing this guy a check and sending him to anybody else
Yeah,
rather than the countless appointments, all the BS, all of the things. And so there's got to be a better way. There is a better way. And so I feel like I love if there's ever any time I can impart wisdom on people. It's like the don't do what I do, that kind of wisdom.
yeah,
You know, there's a thing called a warranty that we can provide that doesn't even cost us any money, really. So we brought Max Zanan on with us from Dental Protection Group. Max, welcome.
Thank you very much, Pam and David.
Did my story make your skin crawl a little bit?
I mean, listen, it happens, life happens, and I'm sure it didn't just happen to you. It happens on a daily basis to a ton of dentists.
yeah.
So
I'll share a story later on when we get into the weeds on this thing, but it happens to all of us. And I'm going to say more frequently than we would want to admit if we actually kept score.
exactly, and the problem is that dentists, in most cases, would do exactly the same thing that you did. You would goodwill it, and there's nothing wrong with goodwilling. But the problem with goodwilling that I see is that it defies laws of physics. Right? Because you cannot be goodwilling something while treating somebody else who's paying for it, right? You can only be at one place at one time. So a warranty allows you to shift risk, and instead of goodwilling, get reimbursed for the redos. And that's the least of it, right? Because when it comes to warranties, and I'll give you a full story, guys. I really have nothing to do with dentistry. Right? I come from automotive space. We warranty cars, motorcycles, boats, recreational vehicles. And the reason car dealers do it is the same reason that dentists should be doing it. The margin compression in car business is real. So contrary to popular belief, they actually do not make money selling cars. On average, they lose between $200 and $500 per sale. So they had to find a way to make up that difference. And warranty is the answer. And I understand that margin compression exists in dentistry as well. I used to think that car business is competitive, but then I got into dentistry and I am shocked. Just to put this in perspective, there are only 18,000 new car dealers in America. there are over 200,000 practicing dentists. So in my zip code in Manhattan, 10022, you can Google it, dentist 10022. There are 70 practices.
That's a couple.
Right. How do you choose? Right. So the first thing you do, right, you look at this warranty as a marketing tool. And you put this on your website, on your social media, you include this in your text and email communication, and you say, hey, we are not like our competitors. We stand behind our work, no questions asked. It doesn't matter what the procedure is. We cover everything except for hygiene and teeth extractions. So you can put this on a filling, you can put this on a sleep apnea appliance, you can do a veneer, you can do anything in between. So once people see that, I promise you that you will get additional flow of patients. It only makes sense, right? Why would I go to a dentist that doesn't warranty her work if I have an option, right, of getting a warranty? So that's point number one. Point number two, it's not just about getting new patients, right? You want to retain them. So the way we wrote the warranty contract, in order for the patient to keep it active, they have to go back to your office for regular checkups. And you determine what the intervals of these checkups are. So that's, I think it's a great opportunity to bring the person back into the chair and see if you can offer an additional treatment plan if necessary. Now, speaking of treatment plans, the acceptance of treatment plans goes up with a warranty. It's much easier for the patient to say yes when you're backing it with a 5-year warranty, especially, you know, for example, my wife did $30,000 worth of veneers. You know, that's a big chunk of money. You know, with a warranty, it's a little easier to say yes than not. By the same token, you no longer have to deal with negative online reviews, right? Or stressful conversations, because if the item is warranted, you don't have to get into an argument whether you're going to goodwill it or you want to split the cost with the patient, especially if it's, let's say, 4 years down the road. A lot of dentists say, well, you know, let's prorate it. You know, and not everybody is reasonable. People go and Google, Facebook, right? And they write a composition. These negative reviews are never short, right? It's like War and Peace, you know? And by the same token, I think it should never even escalate to a peer review case, right? Because again, the premise of the warranty is very simple. The patient is covered for 5 years for the entire dollar amount that they spent on the procedure. So it's black and white. The actual warranty contract is 1 page. There is no legalese, there is no fine print. You know, we specifically designed it to be easily understood by patients and front desk personnel and by, you know, dentists themselves.
So we dentists get in our own way a lot. And I'm going to say the space between this year and this year is often our greatest challenge. How do you help a dental practice who's been goodwilling it for years, and now all of a sudden they want to make this transition because they get it's logical, right? This makes perfect sense. So how do we mentally get over that hump of, but I've been doing this already for free?
Right. It's right. So 2 things here. First, an in-house warranty is great. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is that it doesn't always work. And I'll give you an example. Let's say I go to a dentist in New York and, you know, they have a 5-year in-house warranty. But then I move to Florida. It's over, right? I'm not flying back, right? So you can't take the warranty with you. It's not portable. So our warranty works differently. So if the patient happens to be within a 100-mile radius of your practice, we require them to go back to you for 2 reasons. First, so you can solidify your relationship with the patient. And second, so we can pay the claim back to your practice. If they move, or let's say they're on vacation or on a business trip in another state, then they're free to go to any dentist in America. We do not limit them. There is no network. They just go there, and that dental practice will call us and file a claim. Now, when it comes to claims payments, you will love this. We pay claims the same day with a credit card over the phone. We do not require any supporting documents, no x-rays, no images, and you'll understand why later. Not because we're reckless. So to really answer your question, why should you switch from an in-house warranty to us, is very simple. The answer is money, right? Because when you in-house your warranty, you do not make any money. At the end of the day, you lose money doing it, right? Because you are goodwilling everything anyway. So what we do is completely different. What we do is the following. We know that dentists do a good job, right? So these procedures do fail, but not very often, right? So before we get into the, how the sausage is made, I'll give you the best example so I think anybody can understand. The real secret sauce here is the fact that insurance companies are taxed differently compared to your business or my business or any other business on planet Earth. So the reason they're taxed differently is because they have one of the most powerful lobbies in the world, and they lobby Congress for 111 years. The reason I say 111 years is because before 1913, there was no income tax in the United States. And when income tax was implemented in 1913, it was supposed to be temporary to help pay for World War I effort. So here we are, 111 years later, three of us, right? We all pay income tax. So it wasn't that temporary. Insurance companies, once that law came out, immediately started lobbying Congress to get preferential treatment on their income. So the easiest example I can give you is car insurance, because I think everybody drives. So David, let's say you have a car and your annual car insurance is $3,000. So you pay it to Allstate or to Liberty Mutual, and you're an excellent driver. You did not have an accident during that year. What do you think happens to your $3,000? It becomes profit for the insurance company. However, if I pay you for an implant $3,000, whether you like it or not, at some point you will have to pay income tax to Uncle Sam. Insurance companies do not pay income tax on money left over after claims are paid. So your $3,000 is now sitting in Allstate tax-free. But what do you think they do with your $3,000 when you pay them? Do you think they put it in a safe, or do you think they invest it in the market? Right? So they immediately invest your money in the market and they earn investment income. So that $3,000, let's say using round numbers, let's say if it's a 10% return, they made another $300 on your $3,000. Now that income, investment income is subject to tax, but it's only subject to long-term capital gains, which is significantly lower than ordinary income. For most people, it's either 15 or 20%, depending on your tax bracket. So now, would you like to be taxed the same way as an insurance company? And the answer is, of course. So how do you do it, right? And this is where we come in. This is what we do. We form an insurance company that dental practice owns. So for example, Pam, your dental practice, you're the owner, and it's, let's say it's an LLC. We open a separate C Corp that you own, and that's an insurance company. That insurance company exists on paper only. There are no employees. You guys don't need to become insurance specialists. You don't need to get licensed, right? It's just for taxation purposes. Then once we open your insurance company, the next thing we do, we open a brokerage account that you own with Morgan Stanley or Raymond James. Both are super reputable investment banks. Both are household names. So the key takeaway here is that the owner of the dental practice owns an insurance company, and that insurance company has a brokerage account. So your insurance company is going to be doing the same thing that Allstate does with your car insurance. It's going to collect premium dollars and invest them in the market. And then when you have to redo a procedure, that money will come out from that brokerage account to pay for the claims. If there is no money to pay for the claims, you would say, okay, my insurance company is out of business. And that would be terrible, right? So we don't do that. So what we do is actually called reinsurance. And not to confuse everybody, but there are two types of insurance companies. There's one type that everybody knows. It's Allstate, Liberty Mutual, because they advertise on TV. They're looking for you and me as clients. They want to sell us car insurance, home insurance, renter's insurance. And then there is another set of insurance companies called reinsurance companies. They never advertise on TV because they're not looking for you and I. Their clients are other insurance companies. So let's say if an insurance company has no money to pay out the claims, then the reinsurance company steps in and makes the client whole. So we do exactly that. So behind your insurance company that exists on paper only stands a real reinsurance company. And if for some reason there is not enough money in your brokerage account to pay claims, that company steps in and covers it. However, I think, and you would know better, right? So for example, Pam, what would you say your remake ratio is at your office? But be like honest.
No, I'd say it's pretty low. I would say I maybe redo 1 or 2 crowns a year, maybe.
So let's go super aggressive and say that 10%, meaning every 10th procedure is going to fail. It doesn't matter why. I'm not implying that you're a bad dentist. Let's just assume every 10th procedure fails. So that means for every dollar in premium that you put into your Morgan Stanley account, only 10 cents are going to come out to pay future claims. So now you have 90 cents remaining from every dollar, and that 90 cents is not subject to income tax. Isn't that incredible?
That's interesting. Yeah.
It's a better deal.
Yeah.
Right. So now what can you do with the money, right? Because at the end of the day, you need to do something with it. So first, you can just leave it there. It's your Morgan Stanley account, so it can continue compounding. That second thing, you can take a distribution and pay long-term capital gains on it. Or third, you can borrow from your insurance company the same way you borrow from your whole life policy. And if you borrow from your insurance company and you pay yourself back with interest, there is no taxable event whatsoever. So car dealers have been doing it since 1986. This is when the IRS regulation came out that governs these micro-captive insurance companies. I do not understand why that concept never made it to dentistry. So I just turned 48 years old, and for the first time in my life, I am first to market. Nobody does this in dentistry. There are other companies that provide dental warranties, but they do it differently. They hold on to all the money left over after claims are paid as their profit. They don't share it back with the dental practice. And that way really does not exist in other industries. Other industries are much more sophisticated, and the business owner wants to get the most beneficial deal. And the most beneficial deal is for you to hold on to all the underwriting profit and investment income.
So I'm imagining right now people listening and they're like, okay, Max, well, how do you make your money? How do we work with you? And what kind of a relationship is that?
Yeah.
So first, let's talk about the cost of the warranty. So the cost of the warranty equals to 15% of the cost of the dental procedure. So for example, if using round numbers, if you used to charging $1,000 a crown, now you would charge $1,150. And you would pass on the cost of the warranty to the patient. It will be included in the cost of the procedure. Think of it when you bought your brand new car, right? No matter which car you bought, it came with a factory warranty. It was not a separate line item on a bill of sale. It was included in the price of the car. It was not free, believe me when I tell you. It was included in the price of the car. So using the same logic, that warranty is not free. It's included in the cost of the procedure. So So the best way to understand how we make money and how you make money, I'll walk you through the life of a single warranty contract. So let's say you sell this one contract today and you never sell another one, right? So we're just gonna follow the life of that contract. So you charged $1,150 for that crown. So now you have additional $150 in revenue on your financial statement because you used to charge $1,000, right? So today is October 30th. On November 1st, we will bill you for $150. So the extra revenue in October is going to come out in November. So that extra revenue has no impact on your financial statement. It's money in and money out. So we take this $150 and we deduct, and this is how we make money. We deduct a 30% fee, which in this case equals to $45. Now, remaining $105 is going to be transferred to your Morgan Stanley or Raymond James account. Now, in terms of investment, you decide how the money is invested, meaning that you will have a conversation with an investment banker, and according to your risk tolerance, that's how they're going to invest the money. Meaning that they do not make decisions on their own, and we do not invest your money either. It is entirely up to you how you're going to invest it. So now, let's assume that you did a phenomenal job, right? And that crown does not fail in 5 years. So now, in 5 years, you have $105, and that's called underwriting profit, right? Money left over after claims are paid. Plus, you earned another $20 in investment income. So you have $125 there. You can do the three things like we discussed. You can leave it there so it continues to compound. You can take a distribution and pay long-term capital gains tax on it, or you can borrow this $125 and pay yourself back with interest and then never pay tax on this money ever again. Now, same scenario, you charge $1,150 for a crown. Same thing, we take out a $45 fee, $105 goes into your Morgan Stanley account. But during year 3, that crown fails. So now the patient is back in your office and says, Pam, I know I have this warranty. I'd like to take advantage of it. And you know that you need an entire $1,000 to redo this procedure. At the same time, you know that there's only $105 sitting in your Morgan Stanley account and maybe $10 in investment income. So all you got is $115. So like I said before, if this was a case of self-insurance, this is when you throw your hands in the air and say, hey, my insurance company is out of business, right? But like I said before, there is a real reinsurance company behind your insurance company. So in this case, the first $115 for the claim will come from your account. The remaining $885 will come from the reinsurance company. So the patient and you will be made whole regardless. And that's how it works. Okay. So I'll put this in perspective, what it means in dollars and cents, really, for business owners. If you do this long enough, and again, going back to car dealers, right? I promise you that no matter what car or when you bought it or where you bought it, you were offered a warranty at some point during that transaction, because it's a standard operating procedure in automotive retail. So if you do this long enough and you do this consistently like car dealers do, usually around year 10, your warranty portfolio will be worth more than your practice.
Got it. Okay.
And that's a powerful statement.
That's a huge statement. That's a huge statement. So one more question I have is, in my practice, because I'm fee for service, this is an easy game. You know, are there nuances with PPO driven practices where Correct. I can charge $1,150 instead of $1,000, but I'm not getting that money anyway?
That's exactly right. Because unfortunately, you know, dentists sign a contract and agree to the reimbursement rates. So you're not in a position to do what you can do in a fee for service practice. So in those practices, they would basically create a different billing code and you would treat it as a bleaching kit or an electric toothbrush. Just don't submit that code for reimbursement. But I'll tell you more. If I have dental insurance, that warranty makes even more sense, right? Because, for example, if we talk about crowns, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think majority of dental insurance companies allow one crown every 5 years.
Yes.
So if my crown fails 3 years down the road, I'm on my own, right? They're going to deny the claim. With a warranty, I have nothing to worry about. I'm covered for 5 years.
100%. So I'm going to come back to that mindset. And dentists, we need to realize that that doesn't mean that that's on us. If it happens within that 5-year span, right? If we've done our best job and David Rice doesn't understand that this the bristle side of the toothbrush that goes in the mouth and I don't floss and I'm chewing on ice all day, even though you've told me that's a bad idea, that, that's lots of times we've done our very best work and, dentistry goes sideways.
Yes. And again, the real reason here is twofold, right? You can use it as a marketing tool. You can use it as a tool to put the patient's mind at ease. And at the same time, you can make a ton of money in a tax-friendly environment. It's a win-win for everybody. And all of this is governed by IRS regulations. None of it I came up with. I'm not that bright. And other people, meaning other industries, have been doing it since 1986. And the best example I can give you is when you bought your last iPhone, what was the first question that they asked you? Would you like Apple Care with that? Right. And why do you think they asked that question? Because they want to fix your phone or because they want to make money?
Not a lot of altruism there, you're saying. I got you.
Right. Right.
Well,
Right.
this is interesting. And I think that a lot of us probably share the sentiment where if you have a heart procedure, people don't go in and say, hey, do you guarantee your stent you put in? Or what happens if you had a bad day and my, valve repair doesn't go well? That's on you, right, doctor? And obviously we're kept to a different standard than our medical colleagues are. And so I think we feel that, we share that, but we also need to do the right thing, where I feel like sometimes you might see a restoration that you're like, not the best, but it can hang on until the insurance will, reimburse me again or something like that. And so we don't have to do that anymore. And I think it would buy our patients and ourselves a lot of peace of mind to be able to redo things when, say, things don't go right, especially if it's not always our fault. Now, you said there was a nuance here that patients have to follow your recommendations for care and maintenance, right? They have to come in and have periodic checks.
That's exactly right. Because basically we did this to give you a way out of paying a claim. So, right, if you told me, Max, you have to be back every 6 months, and then all of a sudden I appear 4 years later and I say, hey, Pam, my crown broke. You really don't have to cover this claim. You can deny it. Or you can override it. And maybe you're going to say, Max, I really shouldn't cover this, but I'll do it anyway. Maybe because my wife came in and spent $30,000 on a set of veneers with you. So for the sake of client relationship, you're going to say, I'll do, the right thing here. But you have the ultimate flexibility on whether to approve or deny the claim. So when you call the 800 number on the contract, the person that's going to answer it, they only know how to do one thing and one thing only, is how to process a payment. They're not going to ask you for supporting documents. They're not going to debate with you whether it's a covered item or not, because the money for the claim comes out of your brokerage account. And therefore, we know that you're not going to abuse, and file fraudulent claims because you're only abusing yourself. So the program self-regulates.
I like that. And I like the accountability piece. I feel like in today's world, post COVID, even though we don't like to talk about that, the reality is people are less accountable today than they were before, right? So if we have a mechanism to say, hey, Max, we're going to take great care of you so long as you hold up your end of the bargain by showing up and allowing us to help you the way we know you need it, that's a great place to be. Pam,
Yes,
where
exactly.
does the time go?
Oh, I know. I can't believe we're
Crazy.
out of time. But here's the thing. I think that this concept is new to a lot of dentists and they're going to want to learn more. And Max, really quick, I know that you wrote a book to provide us more information on this topic, The Dental Warranty Revolution. Where can people get this book?
So technically, you can purchase the book on Amazon. It's available as Kindle and paperback, and in a couple of weeks, it'll be available as an audiobook on iTunes and audible.com as well. However, I am not looking to make a penny selling books, right? This is not how I make a living. So my offer to any dentist to just contact me with the name and the physical address, and I will ship the book at no charge. And there are no obligations. Just please read the book. And again, I know my audience. You guys are over analytical. The book is only 76 pages. You can knock it out in an hour. And I will, then it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. But at the very minimum, you will learn something new and you will learn what other industries and what other companies have been doing it for decades. And I'm talking about Fortune 500 companies as well.
All right. So I will put your email address in the show notes so people can click on it and they can go and get their book. But I guess we could do a little spoiler alert, right, David? Maybe we'll get our hands on a couple books and we'll give them away ourselves.
I love that idea, Pam. Let's do it.
All right. So follow us on Instagram so you can get your books there. So Max, thank you so much for joining us and sharing this really interesting topic to us as dental practice owners. David, take us home.
Yeah, Max, I think anytime we can have a win-win-win in a relationship where patients are getting our best care, but also covered on the back end, and so are we as well as our teams, that's a good place to be. So friends, thanks for listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for watching, and we will catch you next week on Dentistry Unmasked.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for watching or listening to the show this week. And thanks to our guests and sponsors on this episode.
Please check out our social media at Dr. Pamela_Maragliano and at Dental Economics Official.
Or you can check me out at igniteDDS or at Dr. David Rice.
And go to dentaleconomics.com to receive dental economics. You can choose to receive DE in print or digitally, and you can also get the details of our Principles of Practice Management conference on our website.
If you have topics or guests or anything you'd like to talk about on the show, send us an email to dentistryunmaskedpodcast@gmail.com, and we will do our very best to make it happen. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.